Hey, it's Stacy from Sacred Art and Story. And if you saw my last video, the one about my winter spirit mask, you know that inside the Artful Crone this month, we're playing with paper mache and we're exploring the energy of winter through intuitive mask making. But today, I wanted to share the deeper roots of why mask making has been such a huge part of my creative path. And it's something that I think that this Artful Crone project has kind of reawoken, in me again, which is pretty cool. So I started to make masks years ago. It was back when I was in grad school and I was studying counseling work. And the school that I went to really blended psychology with spirituality and body-based practices and creative expression. It was a bit woo, like me. And I was kind of immersed in the beginnings of my spiritual journey and my interest in energy healing work and intuition. And it just kind of gave me room to play in all the ways that I love to play. And one of our assignments was to create a piece of art that expressed what we were moving through at that point in time. And I wasn't making a lot of art at that point in my life, but something said, make a mask. So I did. I made a plaster gauze mask like on my own face. And it wasn't about hiding behind something. It really was about kind of giving shape to a part of me that just felt hidden. And I don't have that mask anymore, but I do have a picture of it, so I'll show that to you here. But this mask, the creation of it kind of ended up waking up a part of myself that I had forgotten, or maybe even didn't even know fully, but a part that kind of needed freedom and more room to breathe. And I kept that mask for years. And I had a lot of conversations with that because it just kept showing me different parts of myself that I needed to recognize. And it really showed me that, our art teaches us like who we're becoming. And over time, I think I kind of fell in love with mask making with that, and I just kept making more. Like anytime I wanted to see some part of myself, like an idea, an energy, an archetype, anything that I just kind of wanted to make visible in my life in a way, I made a mask for. And I loved the process of it. I really loved kind of working with plaster gauze too. It was something about like the things that just happened, like the little wrinkles in the plaster, that would sort of shape themselves. I felt like what I was creating was sort of speaking to me, like something more was forming than kind of what I knew, which was always really interesting. I think they were kind of part me, but part something or someone else in a way. It felt a lot like that kind of work with my hands. It was like my hands were sort of listening to something deeper and revealing that, which kind of gave me room for something to kind of learn, like through its creation. Again, something that I didn't know when I started. Um, so the one mask that has stayed with me is this moon mask here. And I created this during a time when I kind of needed a stronger connection to that quiet, feminine moon energy in my life. And once it was all done, I actually went outside under the full moon and I painted it. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of did it in the dark. I did things like that all the time then. But this little mask has stayed with me and it keeps kind of reminding me that we keep evolving with our art. It keeps teaching me things. I keep having conversation with it. So this word mask, I do think it's misleading, but I don't know what else to call them. They're not things that we wear. They're not things that we hide behind. They're really pieces of art that do reflect parts of us that want more room in our lives. And I think that they help us to really kind of see and engage with different aspects of ourselves that just don't get enough airtime. I've loved making them for myself, even if it means sort of balancing it on my head in front of the mirror when I do it. But I've also really loved creating them for other people and watching sort of what comes forward, for them too. Those funny little things happen to them too. Like, so we see something more in what we create. So, why am I telling you all of this? It's because I know that a lot of us come back to creativity later in life. And I think it can be really hard to find projects that feel really meaningful rather than just another craft thing to try. And I am really focused on this one thought lately that as we come into our third act of life and we have more space for our art and our creativity, it's also the time that we transform our lives so deeply, and we're called to explore who we are and express the things that have gotten lost and silenced in our life. And isn't it interesting how those two things, timing wise, line up? I think for those of us who are really drawn to creating from a deeper place, we need practices that let us play, but still let us listen, like mask making, like this. And I think what I love about leading the Artful Crone, the online group that I run, is that I do get to design little projects that are off the beaten path a little bit, and they really do invite us into this kind of creative play, but it's play with a purpose. And I think things like working with paper mache, to create a mask, it really does become a powerful way to get curious about what's moving inside you. I think it's a different form of making really than plaster gauze masks. It's much easier. But I think it really does open sort of the same doorway. It gives you a way in. So here's the big question right now. What part of you needs more room to express herself? Hmm. Maybe a mask is in order. Maybe it's time to break out the paper mache or even the plaster gauze, because I think this kind of creativity is a really great way to answer a question like that. And if you want some support or some guidance while you explore your world through creative play, you are always welcome to check out the Artful Crone. I'll put the link to that below so you could see what we're up to. And I'll put the link to the winter spirit mask that I did, or I showed you a little bit of the paper mache that I did. And you can see what we did there too. So thanks for letting me share my mask making journey with you. Thanks for being here. And yeah, I hope to get to create with you soon.